So I'm pretty excited about episode 8, but outside of Looper and Breaking Bad, I didn't really know a ton about Rian Johnson, the guy who's taken the reins from J.J. Abrams as director. So I decided to watch just about everything he's ever done. My question, what kind of movie does Rian Johnson make? So a couple of weeks ago, Daxon told me that I should read this New York Times interview that Johnson did for the new movie. In it, he talks about how he wanted episode 8 to be its own story and not end with a ... question mark. He says a lot of interesting things in the interview, but the part that jumped out to me was when he's talking about Rey's origins. He says, I know a lot of people care, but it's interesting as opposed to impactful. So instantly I'm intrigued. This is a guy that doesn't just write plot, this is a guy that writes characters. And he just happens to be messing with a group of characters that I really love. So I want to talk about a few of his movies, and I'm going to do my best not to spoil them because I want you to watch them, but I might spoil things just a little bit. 2005's Brick. It's Rian Johnson's first film, and he spent his entire 20s just trying to get it made. It clued me into one of his favorite things to do as a director.
Well, it all kind of stemmed from the novels of Dashiell Hammett, who wrote The Maltese Falcon and Red Harvest. I read those books and really was inspired by them and wanted to make an American detective movie. And then there was this strange decision that happened along the way to put it in this weird high school world, because everyone's so familiar with film noir and with the images from that we wanted to do something a little fresh.
So Johnson is a student of film who likes to take familiar movie archetypes and stick them in a fresh setting. So in Brick, we have Brendan, who plays the part of this headstrong, super brave PI type who's trying to solve a murder. And his dialogue is like something out of a Humphrey Bogart film.
When you're slapped, you'll take it and like it.
Throwing at me if you want, hashhead. I got all 5 senses, and I slept last night. That puts me 6 up on the lot of you.
It's easy, bro.
It's super fun, and at first it took me a minute to wrap my head around what was actually going on, but scene after scene just won me over.
That's not very
You know what I'm in if the wrong yegg saw me pulled in here?
What are you in?
No. And no more of these informal chats either. You got a discipline issue with me? Write me up or suspend me. And I'll see you at the parent conference.
Hold on.
I know, so we've got our flawed anti-hero, and we've got the principal who's playing the part of like the ever-accommodating police chief, saying things like,
I could have you fired for a crack like that. You'd be doing me a big favor.
it's classic, it's fun, and it works. It works because the characters actually believe the fantasy. This crazy film noir high school world is real to them, and they never break from the illusion.
Oh, wait a minute. We have apple juice here if you'd like that. Or we've got milk, but you're having that on your cornflakes.
Apple juice sounds terrific.
It's country style.
That's perfect.
If you haven't seen Brick, see it. It's awesome.
How'd you find me?
It's actually pretty simple. We're brothers. And I've come to the conclusion that you don't want out. You think you do, but you don't.
Brothers Bloom is a modern-day con movie, but it's given this timeless production design that kind of swept me away. In it, we have Steven, who convinces his little brother Bloom to target this rich heiress, Penelope. And we see the old trope with a flawed hero who's brought out of retirement for one last con. Sound familiar? So the film starts with a classic con movie setup that lets you know what our characters are capable of.
What he just pulled off was pretty amazing. He hinged the entire con on this question.
You see the tracksuit, you see the blowtorch, and you realize, oh wait, this is like in modern day, but it has this cool, like timeless aesthetic to it. It's cool. But what really sets the Brothers Bloom apart from some of my other favorite con films is the way it uses its characters.
That starts in the writing process where you have to personally find a connection with each of the characters and find something you relate to and you care about. Can you make a love story in the context of a con man movie? Can you take a genre where an audience is completely trained to not trust anybody, but that's the surprise you're expecting? Whereas to me, what I wanted to kind of do with this is, okay, what's the least thing that you'd expect to happen with a con man movie? And the answer is for it to be sincere, actually, at the end.
Man, man, I love this scene because the story is real for the characters, and Johnson finds a way for us to get right in close with them and feel like we're feeling what they're feeling. And you believe that Bloom is falling in love with Penelope, and it lands, and it feels good. The Brothers Bloom is this con movie with heart, but like a good con movie, it still found ways to keep surprising me right up until the very end. I recommend you watch it with the people you love. Looper is a good movie, man. And it does the same things with aesthetic that Johnson's other movies do. This time, though, it's this mob Western movie set in the future. But of the three films, the way that Looper blends all those worlds was the most seamless and the most natural. And it shows that Johnson is growing technically as a director and just getting better and better and better. And as a director, it gives me hope that maybe one day I could get good at making movies.
If I am going to look directly for influences, I try and look outside of the genre to try and get some fresh blood in there.
And it shows. The world of Looper, again, is unfamiliar to us, the audience, but to the characters, it's real, and they're just dealing with it. I also like how Johnson shows restraint in over-explaining the sci-fi mechanics of the world, unlike other directors.
I didn't want it to be a puzzle movie. I didn't want it to be something where the audience felt like they were doing algebra homework watching it. I wanted it to be a ride.
Looper's plot really isn't as complicated as it seems. The movie gives you the information you need, and then you just get to watch these characters organically navigate this crazy story.
How can you kids stand to wear those chokers? Kravitz.
Ties.
It's ridiculous. You're aware we don't have a dress code.
Fashion.
So we see right from the beginning another Rian Johnson classic film protagonist antihero type in Joe. Joe plays the cool, confident, wise guy movie trope that we just love to make films about. So Johnson asks, how can I change that? How can I try something new and unexpected?
The movies that you're dressing like are just copying other movies. It's 20th century affectations. Do something new. You know? Put a glowing thing around your neck or use rubberized. Just be new.
Okay.
This scene is interesting because I've realized now that Johnson is building a repertoire of films that like to fuse imitation with fresh ideas. Joe cites fashion as his reason to stick with the way things are. So Joe represents this unchanging tradition in film. This is a guy who sees things for what they are, accepts it, and even enjoys the predictability of his world. In the diner scene, we learn that Joe's even been eating the same breakfast for like 30 years.
I ordered something. Steak and eggs, rare and scrambled.
2 second eggs coming up.
So Johnson asks how a character like Joe would respond to his predictable world being turned upside down, and we get to watch the story unfold. Johnson creates a character who realizes that something has to change, and Looper becomes this commentary on storytelling in film as a whole. The same ideas moving round and round in a circle. And it answers my initial question of what kind of movie does Rian Johnson like to make? Johnson wants to make movies that make familiar characters feel new again. We get to watch Johnson put his characters through real change in Looper, and in the end, Joe, like Johnson, can see the pattern. And so for the survival of the medium, he changes it. I'm telling you, man, Looper is a good movie. So what have I learned on my Rian Johnson journey? I guess I've learned that it's not just the next Star Wars movie that gets me excited, it's the next Rian Johnson movie. So, is episode 8 gonna be good? Probably.